Welcome to a first look at FetchXML Builder for XrmToolBox with me, Jonas Rapp. If you're new to XrmToolBox, you probably want to watch the first episode in this series, an introduction to XrmToolBox. In this episode, we'll look at the different options for working with FetchXML in XrmToolBox. We'll then look into FetchXML Builder to create a very basic query. And then we'll take a head start by opening a query from an existing view in CRM. Then we'll have a look at the different options and the different types of output that you can generate from the query builder. Finally, we'll take advantage of the metadata to easily build complex queries. So let's go! Out of the box in XrmToolBox, you can use the tool FetchXML Tester. In the FetchXML Tester, you can manually type your FetchXML, if you know FetchXML by heart. You can format the query and you can execute it. The result is the raw fetch result XML. To see if we can find any more user-friendly tools, let's check in the plugin store. If we search for FetchXML, we find the FetchXML Builder. Click Install to get it installed. Now on some occasions XrmToolBox might prompt you to restart after installation. Just accept and go on. So we've opened the FetchXML Builder. Now let's create a new query. We'll get a stub for a query and can easily select which entity to return. Simply execute the query and we have the results in a grid view. You can easily switch to friendly names to show readable values of option sets and lookups. Now let's take a little shortcut by opening the query of an existing view in CRM. I'll first select the entity, account, and then I get the list of all the existing views, system views and personal views. When I have the query, I can simply execute it and the result will be the same as in the view in the CRM system. Let's look at the query builder. When you select a node, you can edit the properties in the lower part of the screen. You also get a number of quick actions describing what subnodes that can be added to the currently selected node. Be sure to get familiar with the query builder. This is the core of the functionality in the FetchXML Builder. Now let's look at some other ways to view the query. Of course, you can see the actual FetchXML. I'll dock this window to the bottom here. So we have the results and the FetchXML query at the same time. I can look at the query expression. This is C# query expression code. I can also look at the query as plain database SQL. As you build your query in the query builder to the left, all of these code windows will automatically update at the same time. Now let's update some of the options. Especially this use single quotation in rendered XML. The generated FetchXML now has single quotes instead of double quotes. This is useful if you want to copy-paste the query into JavaScript, for example. You can convert the FetchXML to different formats such as minified, escaped, HTML encoded with or without leading spaces, and then back to plain XML. If you check the live update query, you can edit the XML and it will update the query builder to the left. As you build your query and select the nodes in the query builder, you see in the properties of that node the advantage of having a metadata connection. In this case, you see all the attributes available on the account entity. When you create a link entity, it will show you all the relationships available, many-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. When you select the relationship, in this case the owning user of the record, you get to populate it with entity name, from and to attributes, and in this case I specify the alias user. From the link entity, I will now select which attributes to include. I search for name, and I find the full name and the username. Then I search for an email address, and I pick the primary email of the associated user. Executing the query will now show the added attributes from the linked entity. Switching from friendly names will now show the GUID instead of names for lookup fields, and also a fully qualified technical name for each column. I'm Jonas Rapp, and I want to thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of XrmToolBox Tips and Tricks.